and welcome back to Don't Read the Reviews. That's Vicky.
That's James.
And so today we're actually talking about the first film we've seen this year, and the only, currently.
Is it the only film?
It's the only film I've seen this year.
Aren't we on like the 15th? No, it's
Today's the 17th.
Yeah. That's bad. That's slacking.
But it's, coming into the year, everyone's busy.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Before we talk about the favourite...
which is what we're talking about today.
We got some trailers dropped.
We did, actually. Yeah. We had... Was it 2? Did Endgame drop this year?
I think so, maybe.
This is something we really should have looked at. But, to be fair, we
can talk about the Endgame trailer, I guess.
I mean...
It's a thing.
It's a thing that's happened, and I think the most interesting thing about it is obviously how they've mentioned how apparently it's only like the first 20 minutes of the film has been in that trailer. And apparently that's all that's going to be shown in any trailer that comes from now. Yeah,
but they say that, but Marvel is so bad for ruining films in the trailers.
I mean, they already have with another trailer, realistically.
Yeah, I just feel
there is a slight spoiler, although realistically, everyone knows that we've known that these things were going to happen anyway.
Yeah. I like that they made it really dark, and they've not held back at all.
No. I think that is the difference between like the Avengers films and like the standard Marvel films. I think with the Avengers and stuff like that, there is like a level of like maturity and darkness to it. Whereas obviously with all the other Marvel films, they have to be like, we have to make this colourful. We have to make this full of like jokes and references. Like, I mean, just look at Black Panther.
Yeah. What those?
Yeah, literally like that. It's just like
again, as a certified Tony Stark hater.
Yeah.
I just hate that. They build these films up like we've got all these characters together, they're making this massive universe, but at the end of the day they always just lead it back to, oh, but Iron Man's our like golden boy, he's like the star of it. And I'm just sick of it. Like I'm not cool with that.
Yeah. I'm just going to turn that down just okay. Lovely.
But I think some interesting thing from the trailer, which might be slightly spoilerish, but it's just all theories.
To be fair, if you're watching anything review-based.
Obviously, the footage of Ant-Man at the end of the trailer where he is, like, on the camera, the date in it is not now. It's, like, the 80s. It says 80s or 90s, which is interesting because it could lead into him not being in Captain Marvel, but how Captain Marvel and him come into it.
I think I did read a theory about how he's gonna be the first to come into contact with Captain Marvel, because obviously they say he's gonna go through obviously all like the
quantum realm, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be something to do with that, and because obviously the Avengers facility that like Captain America and Black Widow are at, that he shows up to, was an old like Stark facility, so he knew it was there because Hank Pym told him it was there. So he'd know, I can go there in the 80s and it's still going to be something to do with the Avengers.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting.
But no, it's going to be good. And I think obviously the latest one was obviously a couple of, like, what? Was it yesterday or the day before?
Yesterday.
Yeah, the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer finally dropped, which was interesting because didn't it already release in like Hungary or something like that? Like, wasn't it like last year they debuted it at like a festival over in Europe? And
I think so.
They were like, we're definitely going to release it. And then there was just no word.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I mean, it's as I mentioned before, it's going to be it's very colourful. It's going to be very exciting and fantastic. And
what I like about Tom Holland's Spider-Man is that it's very like they're making like teen films, which I think is kind of a good fit for Spider-Man.
He sucks, but that's how Peter Parker's meant to be.
Yeah, but then I think as he gets older, obviously it will be teen. It's like teen kind of films, and it will like mature with Spider-Man, which is cute.
Yeah. I agree. I think Jake Gyllenhaal.
For some reason, in my head, I was like, oh yeah, it's Ryan Gosling. And then I watched a trailer breakdown and they were like, oh yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal. And I was like, I knew that.
Jake Gyllenhaal. He looks great as Mysterio. Like, the very little moment we saw him, obviously, with the fishbowl and stuff like that, he's exactly how he needs to be. The only other sort of surprise, obviously, is that Spider-Man is alive, which basically indicates that there will be some way that he gets back to life.
Yeah.
However they do it. Another interesting thing is obviously Nick Fury's also alive, because Nick Fury is a crucial character in this one. I just think it's just going to be like, obviously, like Homecoming was really good, and it was just a really nice, just wholesome, good feel movie.
I'm going to get to see it for my birthday again. How lovely is that? It can be what's every 2 years? Is that biannual or is that twice a year?
biannually would make it 2 years. I would say, yeah.
I think so.
So
Yeah.
actually, bi is 2.
Yeah. It can be biannual birthday.
If they keep making them, yeah, we'll see them.
Obviously, there's a weird thing with Aunt May and like Happy, who are like having like a thing.
They are. I think they've already confirmed they're going to be in a relationship.
And because they both survived, I was going to say call it the click. It's not the snap.
The decimation.
Yeah, the decimation.
It's called that.
So
I like the snap. The snap is
yeah.
It's exactly that. Like the decimation makes it sound so like, oh man, I'm so like evil and cool.
Yeah, it looks good. I still don't really like Zendaya in it, but
I just don't like the fact that she's MJ. Like, and I know they're trying to be like, oh, she's not Mary Jane. It's like, come on.
She is though.
Like she is.
I don't like the fact that they make her like, oh, she's so cool. She's like not like other girls, and it's just like.
Yeah. To be fair though, it's like I was watching that thing recently about like where Rian Johnson was talking about the character of was it Rose from The Last Jedi?
Yeah.
The way he describes her is like one of the worst things I've ever heard. It's like she's just like the. Kind of like the nerdy girl that I would have hung out in high school. It's like, you don't write characters like that. Stop doing these things to me. But yeah, that's sort of just where we're at. I can't really think of anything else that's...
Only like TV.
It's only been a week since we shot the last one, so it's like not much has happened. But it was
Game of
just
Thrones had their trailer.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Oh man, it is going to be a spectacle. Every show should just give up now. Like, nothing's going to touch this. Like, I know everyone's getting a little bit giddy, because like this whole this Lord of the Rings Amazon Prime series they're making, where the budget for every episode is like $1 billion, and Peter Jackson's...
No way.
Apparently, well, not for every episode, but like I think it's like the budget for the first season is $1 billion.
How? Like, how? Honestly,
I mean, because Jeff Bezos is worth many billions.
I suppose so. Yeah.
Like he can afford to throw the money around.
I mean,
apparently, Peter Jackson is connected to work on it as well, which does excite me a little bit, but not enough to be like, this is going to be really good. I feel like they're trying to get ready to make a placeholder for Game of Thrones, because once Game of Thrones is over, that's going to leave a massive gap in the market.
There's no like high fantasy. The problem is, I feel like people are very connected to the old cast of Lord of the Rings. That a lot of people are going to not be able to like.
Yeah,
get
like
past
I
it.
mean,
like I know for me, it's like, can you imagine anyone apart from Ian McKellen playing Gandalf?
No, and they shouldn't.
Like,
but it's the same thing. Kind of like you have. It's like obviously The Hobbit didn't exactly go down with people very well. Like, I mean, I personally really liked the first one and the second one. But the third one is awful.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I mean? But it really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Like, because obviously they messed with things and they changed things and they made it too long. But to be fair, that wasn't their fault. That was New Line told them you have to make 3 films. They only wanted to make 2 originally. And even then, some people were like, 2 films is too long. But who knows, man?
For a book that's this big, they decided to make a film this big.
Yeah, but like, you can make that wholly immersive. You can put every word into like a second of film.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of it, really.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at. So, I'm not even sure when we saw The Favourite.
We saw The Favourite on the 2nd of January, because it was actually Harry's last day second to last day at Showcase, so he was like, oh, let's all go and see The Favourite. And I was like, cool.
So, it was like 2 weeks ago, so it's not particularly fresh, but I did watch, there's a YouTuber called Jessica, I think she's called like Kelland, I don't know.
I've just been sort of just running back over it in my mind, this sort of thing.
But she spoke a lot about the like the historical side of like the accuracy of it, because she was like, was there a lesbian queen? Because she's a lesbian. She was just like, I want to talk about it. But
yeah. The Favourite was directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. Yeah. And who directed The Lobster as well.
And he also directed Dogtooth, I believe, which is...
He directed Dogtooth?
I believe so.
Shit.
I think
that's a great film. I
had
no idea. Yeah, like,
that is the one where she knocks her tooth out with Okay, yeah.
Because her dad's like, you have to lose your dog teeth to get out of the house.
I'm pretty sure he directed that.
And like they're making the son is having sex with a prostitute, but then gets in a relationship with the sister at the end. We're making it sound very strange.
He makes very like absurdist kind of. It's weird because they're not technically comedies, but they are funny.
Yeah.
So
The Favourite, I would say, is no exception to this rule.
Yeah.
Like, it is from start to finish, it is wild.
Yeah.
Like for a film that's literally just about essentially just a queen in a palace
and like politics.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
So it's obviously all about Queen Anne.
Yeah.
And the thing. That's not helpful. And it's kind of like, obviously, so we'll kind of just run it as the film goes. There'll be a few spoilers for it, but basically it's all about obviously like Queen Anne during her. I think it's obviously sort of as we're getting to the end of her reign. I'd say sort of like probably in the mid-peak.
Yeah.
So she's at war with France. Well, England's at war with France, and obviously you've got one half of the government trying to be like, let's sue for peace, which is the Tories.
It's the Tories and the Whigs, isn't it?
Yeah, the Whigs. Yeah. And it's kind of just sort of like you have her sort of assistant, friend.
It's kind of her friend who.
She's her advisor, I think, is probably the best term. Yeah. So Rachel Weisz plays Sarah Marlborough,
who's basically running the show, and Olivia Colman, who we didn't mention, is Olivia.
Yeah,
Colman.
Olivia Colman is Queen Anne. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's great in it. And it's obviously, and everything's sort of right with the world, because obviously, say Rachel Weisz is pulling all the strings. She's, every time the Queen's about to go to court, it's almost like that scene. There's a scene in it, obviously, that's obviously very famous in the trailer, where she's like, "You look like a badger," but like in that scene, it shows you that like she's like, you can't go to court like that. So she's almost like keeping her away from the court, so she can make sure that what she needs to be said is said.
And then Emma Stone shows up.
Yeah, so Emma Stone like bowls up, and she was
basically, I think she was a lady, and she kind of like.
Yeah, so she plays Abigail. I don't know if she has a last name by the time she gets there, but I think she has one at the end, and I didn't click on what it was because the guy that she gets married to he's one of these characters where like his character name just goes straight over your head because it's not about his name.
You're just like, hey, that guy.
But yeah, she was a former lady. She's the cousin of Rachel Weisz's character, so Lady Marlborough. And her dad was like a drunk and a gambler.
Sold her.
And basically it sold her to like an old German man who obviously like did terrible things to her. So obviously she comes to the castle obviously looking for work. But this is the part I didn't understand. Was something that we'll come back to.
Yeah.
But it's like, so obviously Sarah Marlborough takes pity on her and sort of like, I'll give you a job as a scullery maid.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of like, the film sort of shows sort of the climb between sort of Abigail gaining favour with Sarah Marlborough and then gaining favour with Queen Anne and showing how she moves through the ranks. And it's either, there's two ways of looking at it, I think. It's either she's moving up and the greed is corrupting her, or she was always like that. And this is her getting back to the position she wanted. So did she show up to the castle to get back her position, or did she go there because she had no other alternative?
I think that's one of the things that everyone's meant to make up for themselves. But I think the point is she's like this like sickly sweet person, but she's got this like manipulative nature, like with certain things she does. Even though the way she's with we should know this character's name. The guy she ends up marrying, like the
we
way
are the worst people.
The way she is with him,
we'll be better next
the way
time.
she is with him is very like not like a sweet girl would kind of act like. She's very like manipulative. Like we're gonna do it this way, then we're gonna get married, and like all this sort of business. So it's like she was always like it, and she was just, it's all a persona.
It's kind of like when it comes to the women that she comes into contact with, it's almost like she plays a very different role to the men that she plays part with.
Yeah.
So when she meets this guy, she's very like flirty, playful. She's like running about, biting him, sort of thing. This makes the film sound wild. There is that.
I mean, it is.
I mean, it is wild. It was strange for as I say, for a film that's all about politics. It gets crazy.
Really interesting, yeah.
But yeah, and it's kind of like, it just shows you sort of like, I feel like it's Nicholas Holt's character who sort of really, he plays obviously the leader of the Tory party. And he's like, it's almost that part where he's like, trying to convince her to, spy on her. And it's almost like that's the initiation that goes, oh yeah, no, I could totally do this. I could totally like spy on you for the Queen.
Yeah.
As Rachel Weisz says, playing it from both sides of the fence, which is, a very, very standard thing to do in politics.
Yeah.
But yeah, what steals this film for me is definitely the cast. Nicholas Hoult and Rachel Weisz are perfect with each other.
Yeah.
Like, there's some amazing scenes between their characters, because you can just like, it's that classic like, you really hate them, but you have to keep face because you're surrounded by people, and it's like, but they've just got such good chemistry together, and I thought they were thing. I felt like Olivia Colman was really underutilised in this film.
Yeah, I think it's weird because obviously it's about that character, but she's not the main character.
No, she's not the main character at all.
She's almost like the secondary character, and like Lady Marlborough and Abigail are kind of like the two.
Main, it's really it's really like literally them fighting for the spotlight in both sort of like cast way and actual character way. But yeah, it does feel that like Olivia Colman falls to the wayside a little bit, and it's a bit of a shame because she's so good in it. Like, for the moments where her character really sort of, like, comes out, it's really good. Like, but yeah, just the whole cast. There's so many really recognisable faces in it as well.
Yeah, there's a load. Like, Mark Gatiss was in it. That was a nice surprise.
Yeah. Mark Gatiss is in it.
Yeah. But Emma Stone is one of these actresses that I never thought was, like, a serious actress. Like,
She is.
I'd only ever seen her in, like, really, like fun things, like Easy A and, like, stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like she is the Jonah Hill of, like, female actresses. Because, like, because the sad thing about Jonah Hill is, like, he's a fantastic actor, but people just won't take him seriously, and it's so bizarre. It's like, if you read the story about, like, obviously, you know, he did a massive pay cut for Wolf of Wall Street. But it's like, if you, like, he would, like, the fact that he had to practically beg, like, Martin Scorsese to let him be in this film is like, what? Because, like, even by that point, he was Oscar nominated. Do you know what I mean? And, like, it's crazy. But I feel like that is Emma Stone as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's always in very sort of, like, in, like, rom-coms or, like, just comedies and stuff like that. Obviously, like, you know, she's always with Ryan Gosling now, I think it is. She was in it's that detective film. I can't remember what it's called. My memory.
We're so good at naming films, naming actors.
It's with Ryan Gosling and got so many people in it.
Yeah.
My whole brain is just gone
Is it
wild.
the one with Jennifer Lawrence in it?
No. It's called. I love this film. It's not important. But she's been in a few films with Ryan Gosling. Obviously, La La Land was the last one that she was in, and then there was another one in the middle as well, called, like, it's not Eat, Pray, Love, but it's something. It's something very similar to that. We will be better in the next couple of episodes. It's been wild, and we've been trying to, like, get ourselves together for this.
Like, the favourite is very much like the director. Look, all his films feel like they're in the same universe, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, obviously,
like it wouldn't be a far-fetched.
Like, this is supposed to be set, like, when? Like, 1700s, is it?
Yeah, I think 17th century, 16th.
But, like, the way they talk is not. It's like very modernised, like with their like sarcasm and stuff like that.
Yeah, the dancing as well. Like, some of it felt very, like. I mean, it was just weird.
Yeah.
Like, the dancing scenes were weird. I don't know if they danced like that in those times, but, like, some of those moves were looking a bit like I'm pretty sure someone dabbed in it at one point. And I'm like, that was definitely not a thing back then. It's hard to critique the film because obviously you can't. It's hard because obviously I feel like people critique films based on what they see that year as well.
Yeah.
I think this is the first film we've seen this year that's, like, new.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to say, but I will say the only critique I sort of really had was I felt some of the dialogue sort of dragged on a little bit in places. And I guess obviously the thing that we both got on, which was obviously the cinematography.
Yeah, there was like.
So it happens about halfway through the film. There are just moments where suddenly
it cuts to GoPro. It's a GoPro.
It is a GoPro. Yeah. It's it
Fish Island, and I'm personally triggered by the Fish Islands from my own experiences filming. It just like took you out of the film because it just wasn't needed. Like, I don't think it was needed. Like, you can use a wide angle lens, but don't use fisheye. Like, the one shot I thought it was okay for. It was when someone went from one end of the corridor to the other, and it was from the side.
Yeah.
That one looked okay. Still, it didn't need to be a fisheye lens. He could have just, like, panned.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what he was going for.
There was one moment. I think it's like it's a cut of scene, so it's like it's not just a camera cut. It's like a genuine change of motion, and that kind of worked because it was kind of like into a new scene. It was like, oh, this is cool, because I think it's when they're doing the weird thing. But then there's a scene later on where it's literally bang smack in the middle of a scene. It suddenly cuts to a fisheye, and I was like, why has he done this?
It's just really.
There's obviously a reason he's done it.
Yeah, it's just like randomly out of place, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I just didn't like that. Yeah.
No, but that was the only sort of thing that I feel like I really critique on it.
I think it was quite, like, visually it was very dark, some of the things.
Yeah.
But I think that's just what comes with the time of the film.
Yeah. And I think it's just the territory of his films, because his films were always quite there's very little, like, bright colours in his films, like The Lobster, Dogtooth, like all these films, like they're always very sort of like, it's almost like they exist on like a specific like grey palette. But obviously that's his style, and that's sort of what he goes for.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, it's it because it is weird because like there are points where the dialogue is a bit long-winded and it gets a bit like you start getting a bit trapped in the moment. Especially when it starts getting into the politics of things, and it's like, but like But it's weird because at the same time, like that's also one of its most redeeming qualities. Like there's some amazing points of dialogue in it. Like I'd say, like when they're out shooting the pigeons and stuff like that. When obviously, like Abigail motions to the fact that she knows that Sarah Marlborough's, in a relationship with the Queen, and obviously like she goes off on that tangent about like not knowing if the gun's loaded or not. And I was
fake
like,
shoots her.
yeah, like it's a really good scene. We didn't even talk about two of the most interesting parts about the film, actually, which is in the first time where Abigail show up, a guy wanks over her, and that's it. It's a scene that happens and it's done. And I was stay classy.
That's literally like the classic of the director though, because there's so much like there's a lot of times in Lobster where there'll be a throwaway line, and you'll be like, what the fuck, and they just move on, and you're like, oh okay, this is happening, like.
Yeah, but there's also that, and it's also so obviously the film kind of takes place. There's sort of like the before and after, and it's sort of before Abigail gets to the full point, and to the after, and it shows you obviously the decay of everything. And in between that, Queen Anne just has a stroke, but that scene is never shown. It's just in one moment she's fine, well she's not fine. She's suffering from the gout the entire film.
Yeah. And
she's in a wheelchair and stuff like that. But then like there's just another shot and she's half dead, and I was like,
oh, this happened.
Cool. This was I feel like I've missed something, but that's fine.
Maybe it was a scene cut or something. Maybe it just didn't.
Yeah, maybe.
Or something,
maybe.
Yeah.
But I assume it's because obviously I imagine Queen Anne probably had one in real life and he was like continuity. Because that's the thing. The most interesting thing about this film, and I thought, because obviously everyone knows that Queen Anne was a real person, but I didn't realise that Sarah Marlborough was a real person and Abigail was a real person.
Yeah.
But obviously it is whatever this film is very much like not accurate at all.
Yeah.
From what
I understand.
Highly
dramatised.
Yeah, like beyond dramatised, as in like he's practically like wrote every moment.
Yeah.
Apart from all the things. That did sort of get us sort of talking about like sort of like because like
historical accuracies and like biopics, like
because I wouldn't call this biopic. It's a fictional story with real life.
People,
it's like when like you have these stories of like. Well, like Winston Churchill's in and stuff like that. But the thing I was thinking about biopics, because obviously we have a big one coming this year, which is Rocket Man, which I feel like started its marketing a little bit at the wrong time, because it was sort of like as Bohemian Rhapsody was just about to come out, and I was like, everyone was too excited for Bohemian Rhapsody. Oh, but I think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Taron Egerton is good in almost everything that he's ever been in, so I have high hopes for it. But it does sort of like there's a bit that question about like. We were talking, obviously, I think we mentioned in the last podcast about how people were getting really sore about, like, inaccuracies about, like, stories and stuff like that. Like, so, certain moments in their lives that have been dramatised slightly to make the film more interesting. And people are like, no, it didn't happen like that.
It's like, there's obviously the line between, do you want to be so accurate that it's boring, because people's lives aren't as exciting as on film, funnily enough.
No, yeah.
Or... do you want it so highly dramatised that like nothing's real, there's no point even using these real people, you might as well just make up characters. It's like the line has to sit somewhere.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people had a problem with The Greatest Showman because they were like, P.T. Barnum, oh he's a terrible...
Yeah, he was garbage, but
so,
like that's not the point of the film.
With that film, I feel like they could have just not used P.T. Barnum. In a way that
the thing is about Great Showman. Now, I will stress now that I've only seen the second half of it.
Yeah.
But from what I understand about the film, from watching people talk about it and stuff like that, is the fact that it's like obviously it's a musical. So because of that, any notion that it's a biopic in any right is thrown out the window because it's all for show and it's all for dramatisation and it's all spectacle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a real person, but.
This is the greatest show, so...
Yeah, like, it's all about... Yeah, it's about the thing. They're not going to go into it. And also, it's for kids. Like, like, I know that everyone over 30s are, like, in love with it. And... because, it's the classic, like, hitting the wrong demographic as intended as always. But it is just that, do you know what I mean? It's meant to be sort of like a family thing. If they were going to go into sort of like the dirty dealings...
how he was like a terrible person, how
he was conning all the people that he was working for,
yeah,
like,
he's
all the
basically
dirty
just
dealings
like
he did.
manipulating disabled people.
Yeah, literally.
Taking all their money, making
But
them
like,
work.
yeah, you can't sell a happy-go-lucky musical on it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a bit like, I don't know, making Mamma Mia, but it's like she's got bipolar and she's killing all of the guests, and it's like... Like, you can't sell that. Like, that's not something that people are going to go there and be like, oh, I love singing along to this. And as people are just getting like axed in the background.
Because I know in The Favourite, I did look into some of like the historical accuracies of it.
Yeah.
And there are suggestions that Lady Marlborough and Anne were like kind of like in a relationship. There was like some letters that Lady Marlborough like threatened to release, just like in the film.
Yeah.
But it was nothing ever like explicit. And I know a lot of like famous writers have spoken about the relationship in a way that just back then, like female friendships were like highly romanticized, and it was like it was just different back then. So they could have been, but then also like I'm pretty sure Queen Anne was actually married like to a man as well.
Yeah, but to be fair though, back then
so
it was like
it's just one of those.
You know, sort of people talk about anything like that. Obviously back then it was obviously like if you weren't married, like and you were all like, what was wrong with you? Like, you know, I mean, you were either a witch or you were too ugly or you were all these things. You know what I mean? It's sort of like when people talk about, like, I don't know, stuff like Game of Thrones when they use certain pieces of dialogue and stuff like that. Like, I remember, I think it's in season 6, there's a moment where, like, a guy puts a bow and arrow to, Sandok again. And he's like, oh, put the arrow down, you big girl. And people are like, oh, you can't say that. I was like, we can. Like, this is like hundreds of thousands of years ago, and also in a world that never existed.
Yeah.
So, like, they can say what they like. But yeah, I just think sort of like story accuracies. I mean, obviously, you know, Bohemian Rhapsody is obviously full of like little ones, you know, about. But to be fair, it's all the small stuff that people get caught up on. It's all like this song wasn't released then, it was released then. Like, I was reading the sort of the breakdown of inaccuracies of What's Love Got to Do with It, which is obviously the greatest biography of all time, because it's about Tina Turner, which was a genuinely quite a harrowing story, but it's like, obviously it was dramatised for some effect. You know, but it's obviously people were just talking about like how, you know, oh, this song was released here, this song was released here, and I'm like, so this shit doesn't matter.
No.
Do you know what I mean? But then obviously you go to the moments where sort of things are exaggerated, but they're not too different, sort of thing. You know, I mean, they're based on reality, but they've been changed a bit. So there's a scene, which is a bit too mature for most audiences, but basically, she's recording Nutbush City Limits, and Ike like rapes her. But what actually she says in the book. Also, that's recorded in her house in the film, but it was recorded in an actual studio in real life. So, you know, what he used to do is he used to beat her up and then tell her to go, like, come to bed. Like, that's what. So she was like, it was like rape. So obviously they just took that and ran with that. And then there was like something about, oh, her suicide attempt was actually 6 years prior to what it says in the film. And I'm like, does that matter?
The problem is, it's like real life isn't scripted. So obviously, trying to write a script for something that actually happened is hard to make it. It's hard to portray. Obviously, that what people have told you about their life, then someone else has to write that and then make it adaptable for screen.
Yeah.
You just have to like miss out some stuff that isn't important sometimes. Like
and even if you've got to bring stuff in, you've just got to try and like streamline it a little.
Yeah. Like I know, in Bohemian Rhapsody, a lot of people had problems with. Like obviously, like when Queen like fell apart, and they're like that never happened. It's like, yeah, but there needed to be a low point in the film for Freddie to come back.
Yeah. Every movie has to have its rise, then its fall, then its rise.
Yeah,
that's how you make a good.
It was
movie.
Just a setup for, because it couldn't just be like he's on the up and up and up the whole time.
No,
and then,
but it wasn't even like that in real life. I mean, Queen obviously, it's the classic case of Queen were just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But obviously their lives were changing dramatically behind the scenes, you know. But it was one of those things where it wasn't enough to sort of be like, oh, we could turn this into a big scene or anything like that. No, they have to actually make it into different things and do all these other bits and some things. Interesting fact about Bohemian Rhapsody though. So obviously it's made money. It's made a lot of money. But I was reading a thing about obviously Mary Austin. Yeah. Yeah, you know, obviously his ex-fiancée.
Love of his life.
Yeah, the love of his life. She did hurt him. But so she, interesting enough, so when he died, when Freddie died, he left 25% of his estate and anything that. So he left his $20 million house to Mary Austin, which she still lives in now. Yeah. So the house that is in the film, obviously, is the one that she lived in. And she received 25% of all of his assets. So any royalties he made from anything would go, 25% of that would go to her, 25% to his mum, 25% to his dad, 25% to his sister. But when both his parents died, their shares were sent to her, which I thought was really interesting because obviously you'd assume it would half and half to his sister, but no, she only receives 25, and she receives 75% of it. She's suspected to make $40 million from Bohemian Rhapsody, and she has had nothing to do with the film.
I know she does. She has a lot of like charity work that does do good
I think she runs the main. Well, she's part of like the main Freddie Mercury one, isn't she?
Well, because I know that Brian May runs one of them as well. I think they might be.
Is it the Phoenix Trust? Is that what it's called?
I think
it's got the Freddie Mercury Phoenix Trust or something.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, she doesn't speak to Brian May or Roger Taylor or John Deacon.
No.
And they're very annoyed about that. And I'm like, well, I don't understand why. But, I mean, but it's just crazy, sort of how much she's going to make from this, and she didn't even speak to them about the film.
No.
I think she gave rights for her likeness to be in the film, and that was it.
Yeah.
But but back onto The Favourite. It was just, for the first film of the year, I think it was definitely a good one to see, because obviously you've got to start a year off right, as they always say.
I was like starting off on a film that I have I didn't know much about. I saw the trailer. From the trailer, I didn't really want to go see it, to be honest. But
it's like
you got to just give things a chance. So I went to see it, and I liked it.
I mean, I saw the trailer, and I just thought it was interesting because it's one of these films where like I'm always very curious about movies where nothing about the plot is given away in the trailer, because I miss those days where like they make a trailer and they show some little cool bits. But like they don't actually give away any of the plot. So, I mean, this is a problem I sort of have with modern day trailers. Like so much of the plot is given away.
Yeah.
Like people give away little moments and stuff like that. Obviously, Marvel are very guilty for anything Disney is guilty for it. But it's just sad because people are so desperate to get the story out that they give it all the best bits.
But making a trailer with like we have no idea what's happening, I think that makes people want to be like, oh, what's that about then? Let's go.
That's what I mean. Yeah, the mystery is what brings people in.
Yeah. Because like
the intrigue,
especially with The Favourite, no idea from the trailer what it was about.
No,
it didn't have anything.
I saw
no idea.
Olivia Colman, Rachel Weisz, and Emma Stone were the three main people in it, and I was like,
sold.
Like literally just sold on that, like because like I just love Rachel Weisz. I think she's so good in everything she's in.
I like her, but I feel like she plays the same thing in everything.
She always plays very sort of higher uppy characters, I think, is sort of where her forte is. I don't think she's very good. I don't think she'd be very good at playing like common people. I said it like it's such a day.
I mean, in The Lobster, she plays a woman who lives in the woods.
True, actually, yeah, I forgot about that. But
when they do the signals and
that was good.
I can't remember any other ones.
But yeah, I remember that one. But yeah, that's it. Yeah. God, yeah, Colin Farrell was in that as well, wasn't he? Yeah. He was the main character. God. I
just get sad thinking about Colin Farrell now because of what could have been with Grindelwald. So.
Yeah, just don't like. We could have had a good thing, but no.
No, we've got to have the wife beater.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting fact, and I'm pretty sure that only came out this year. Or, no, I think it was last year, but we didn't touch on it. It's about the fact that obviously Johnny Depp has been sacked as Captain Jack Sparrow because they're rebooting Pirates of the Caribbean, which I think is. I mean, I feel like that's the excuse they're giving, but I feel like they're kind of a bit like. We just can't be seen fraternising with this now. Like, I know Robert Downey Jr. is like a former drug addict, and
yeah, but he reformed himself. And,
yeah,
I mean, taking drugs is different to beating your wife. So yeah. I
mean, both scummy people for it, I guess. Because I mean, he wasn't just like doing a bit of doobie on the weekend. Like your boy was on hard drugs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but he made Disney a load of money, so I guess he's safe for now.
So he's that golden boy. I told you.
Yeah,
he all comes back around.
He's dying in Endgame.
Yeah,
I guarantee it. He's going. I think Cap's going.
I
know this is whole thing.
I'm not sure if Iron Man's gonna go. Mainly from Far From Home trailer because they showed the bit where they say Mysterio, he's like Iron Man and Thor put together, and then like.
I mean, you can talk about people if they're dead.
Yeah, no, but I know. But Peter would be like, "Oh, that's really sad because I'm missing him," because he was like a dad, never had. No.
Yeah, but no, I'm sort of where to take this from here, because it's a hard film to sort of keep going on about without just basically telling the entire story. And I sort of don't want to. I want the intrigue to be there. I just want people to see sort of like this very sort of lovely person show up at the beginning of the film and keep gradually getting bigger and bigger and then just devolving into this like real person. I do feel that they didn't spend enough time. Obviously, the film was quite long anyway, but I feel like the build-up wasn't long enough. But the build-up was too long even to get to sort of where she ended up. I feel like we didn't really get to see the real sort of like piousness that she was up to.
Yeah.
Because you can see it because there's that scene where she's in the ballroom when it's like the weird montage of it where everything's a bit slow-mo and stuff like that, and like obviously her husband's there, but she's like getting with another bloke, and she's just like, I'm a lady now. She looks awful.
And the end scene was like we had to like discuss it a little bit after we saw it.
Yeah, I get the gist of it now.
Yeah, it's basically that. I know that Olivia, like I keep calling her Olivia Colman, like Queen Anne just reminding her that she's still the one in control. Technically,
should we talk about the scene then? Should we just do it? Give ourselves a bit more runtime on this.
Yeah.
Because after all this editing, we're going to have like 18 minutes. So the ending scene is basically after. So Abigail tampered with the records to basically look like Sarah Marlborough was skimming the till. Basically, she was sending money from the court to her husband at the front line. You know, to basically keep funding him on money they didn't have. So she was stealing from the crown, basically, which is like high treason. So she is banished from England, as well as her husband.
And that's what Abigail wanted in the end, to become the favourite.
Oh, I see what you did there. She said the thing.
Yeah, and then we didn't mention Queen Anne has like loads of rabbits, which is...
She has loads of rabbits.
Relatable content.
Every rabbit, she has 18 rabbits. And they are, and this is another good point of where dialogue was really good, is when she, because Abigail asks her, oh, why do you have them all? And she has a rabbit for every child that she lost. She was like, some were born of blood, so she miscarried some. Yeah. Some were born
without breath.
Yeah, and some were only with me for a few hours.
Yeah.
Which basically they just died due to complications. And that's sad. That's really sad.
Yeah.
But she has all the rabbits. So Abigail's pulled this thing off. Sarah Moore was gone. She's like, fuck yes, I'm in control now. She has a big montage of her being basically a little shit and being with Tory parties, which leads me into the moral of the film in a minute. And basically there's a scene at the end where there's a rabbit sort of messing about near Abigail, so she puts her foot on it and she's like crushing it against the floor. You know, just enough to sort of like give it pain but not to just immediately kill it, sort of thing. And Anne, although Anne is like, you know, she's had a stroke,
bedridden,
she's bedridden. Like, she sees this and she suddenly realises, oh shit, this girl's played me. But then she decides that, no, I'm gonna show. So she gets out of the bed very meekly. And she like demands she come over here and she's like, rub my leg. And so like she's got this like woman and then she's like, she's like, oh, I need to rest my body or something like that. So she puts her hand on her head and she's like crushing her and putting like all of her force behind it. And it's that moment, obviously, as you were saying, where she's basically saying to Abigail, without saying it, sort of like, you're not in control here, I am. At the end of the day, she is still the queen. And until like, oh, builders. This is going to be the best episode. This is the one that everyone will be talking about for years to come. It's like they didn't know any of the character names, they didn't know any of the actors, they didn't know how to say the guy that made it. Yeah. But yeah, I think the film is sort of like, it's got many sort of like morals to it, I think.
Don't trust a Tory, is that
yeah, so my first one was don't trust a Tory, because she trusts Nicholas Hoult and starts feeding information, and after that she gets all the power, but then what happens to her? She realises she has none. The other one that I sort of got from this was, it's better to be an honest bitch than a lying one. Yeah. Because like Sarah Marlborough's character, like from the moment you meet her, like she's a bitch.
But she doesn't do anything dishonest. She's very like forward with her intentions or everything.
Well, no, you say that, but even we were just discussing earlier that she is somewhat manipulative, because obviously she's keeping Anne away from the court for the most part until she can guarantee her position, and then she's like, okay, you're going to go to court tomorrow and you're going to tell everyone all about this. And she's like, oh, well, okay. So she's calling shots. But yeah, like, but she's, you know, she's honest about her intentions. You know what I mean? She knows that she's the powerful one, so she keeps her place in line. Whereas obviously Abigail is like scheming and she lies and stuff like that, and that makes her the worst of the two. Because she doesn't even have the decency to be honest about her intentions. Yeah. Like, she marries the man that she marries the sort of, he's a soldier, isn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but like that gives her like power, but that's all she needed him for.
Just to be a lady.
Yeah, literally, so she could get her status back and she could start causing havoc again. Yeah. Or maybe, who knows, maybe she was corrupted. Who knows? Find out in The Favourite 2, Electric Boogaloo. So, we're at a bit of a wit's end because we don't actually know what the next thing we're going to see is.
No.
I don't know what's out right now, in this exact moment.
Glass.
It will most likely be Glass. It's next Tuesday, isn't it? We're going?
Yeah.
Forget everything I just said. Then we know exactly what we're doing. We're going next Tuesday. It's next Tuesday evening because I'm back from my trip.
So tune in to the next episode of Don't Read the Reviews, where we'll be talking about Glass probably, and
well, I hope so.
I hope so too.
Yeah. Until then, she's Vicky.
He's James.
I just said awkwardly into the camera.
The end.
Yeah. Cheers. Farewell, my friends.
Bye.